Thank you. Alright, earlier on you heard previous speaker Anita talking about having arguments and having arguments. So I see a few hands raising up, but actually I'm not quite convinced. Can I try asking again? Who in their lifetime have ever had a conflict before? Wow, we have some very peaceful people that doesn't raise up their hand. Okay, but it's alright. I'm not here to probe people into your life, but for those people who actually raise up your hands, how many of you actually had a conflict or an argument that you actually regret having? Wow, all of you no regret. Okay, cool, thank you very much. So am I. So hence, this is my topic, the 7% that create conflict. So I myself, like you, have multiple conflict in my life before, and I myself have regretted some of them. And so I actually really went into researching and finding out why actually I'm having so much conflict in my life. And I actually found this. In the research done in a university, they say poor communications can lead to misunderstanding between employees or between employees and managers. So in our context, it means that poor communications can affect the people around us. Now, if you ask me, this is rubbish. Because how many of you before this talk have seen or heard something similar before? Seriously? Okay, quite a number of you. And does it actually reduce conflict?
Yes, I study human resource management, so I can.
For you, yes. Okay, cool. Another one? Another person? How about you, Mr. Peter? Does it actually reduce conflict?
Intellectually, it sounds right.
Exactly. And if this, as well as much as it's well known, can help solve conflict, then why are we still having wars? Why are we still having unhappiness in our life? So to me, this is rubbish. And I actually went on to search for more answers until my mentor told me this. To a certain extent, this is correct. But you need the second part of the formula, which is this. This is my mentor, by the way. His name is Marshall, and he told me this. Communication is the response I get. And back then I was like, wow, this sounds really cool. What does it mean? And he go on to say that communication is the response I get. The response, every single response you have between a conversation, between a dialogue, between your parents, between your family, between your wife, their response is based off how you communicate with them. And as far as that doesn't sound very reasonable. How can I be responsible for their response? And it says you need the third part of the equation, which is the 7%, 38%, and the 55% rule. And this is it, the 7%, 38%, and 55% rule. So how many of you have seen this before? Okay, cool, quite a number of them. Now Sarah, if you don't mind, can you share with the rest of the room what does this mean to you?
7% is spoken words. Wait, is it 38% means listening? I think it's listening. Okay, 55% is how we portray ourselves, like in the stage.
Great attempt, decent attempt. So maybe let me add on to your answer. Mm-hmm. So this is actually how receptive we are to a certain message. So 7% is actually based on the words I use. 38% is of my tonality, how I use my voice. And the 55% is how I'm moving, my body gesture, my facial expression. And with that, makes up how receptive someone is towards your message. And if people are more receptive to your message, they are less likely to create conflict with you. Am I right? And with that lies the problem with all modern communications today. In this context, you need to be physically present, you need to see me, you need to hear my voice, you need to hear my tonality. But in modern communication, like telephone, you only get 45%, which means that you only get to hear my voice and the words that I use. And it gets worse. Nowadays, we keep using WhatsApp, text messages, WeChat, whatever texting platform you're using. And it's all just text. Or so we thought. So I'd like to challenge you a little bit more. when we usually read a text, is the text the only thing that matters? Turns out it's not. So whenever we receive a text, there's a certain tonality towards the text that we give to it. Let's do a small experiment. So I'll get one person to say this small text, this little chunk of text, in a cheerful tone. I'll get another really more negative emo person to say the same amount of the text using a negative tone. So, Alan, could you read this small chunk of text in a cheerful tone?
Oh, we eating them.
And let's get someone more emo, more negative to say the same phrases. Oh, I want to say Johnston because Johnston usually doesn't have very positive emotions. So and that's the problem, because when we say it out loud in different tonality in our heads, it creates a different meaning to it. The text can be very neutral, but the different tone we play in our heads is what that kills it. So every time you pick up your phone and you get a text message, you play a tone, you create conflict, you broke a relationship. So how long are we going to let this continue to ruin us? And how long are we going to use this to create conflict in our life? And so the question to really ask ourselves is not how to avoid conflict, but how willing are we to take control of our conversation? Are we willing to take 100% of our conversation? Are we willing to take 45% control of our conversation? Or are we just taking 7%?